Yeah, I designed it. For this next probably 10 minutes, we're going to look at the chemicals that are going on in the brain. Okay, we're going to start with what are called catecholamines. Catecholamines are a type of amino acid, type of protein that we need to have in our body. And when things get activated, we break things down. We break this down into dopamine. Dopamine, in my mind, is your feel-good neurotransmitter. When something really awesome happens in your life and you go, yes, you just did your own release. When you orgasm, you just did your own release. Okay? And it's that just nice, warm, flushed feeling. The body puts this out in little bits because it's really potent. Okay? When it's stimulated, we get a euphoria. We get that nice feeling. When it gets overstimulated, we actually can get agitated. Think about this. Now, for whatever reason, it's staying in between those little nerves and it's overstimulating what's going on. When it stays there too long, or I'm doing this frequently, now I may be looking at being paranoid. You know what it is to be paranoid? I think people are out to get me. Most of the time, it's not true. I've only met one person who the DEA was really out to get them. You busted into his house.
Yeah,
Otherwise, usually not. He really had a reason to be paranoid, but most of us are looking over our shoulder, sure that being suspicious of other people, thinking that we're being watched, and we're really not. And that's usually what paranoia is. I think I'm being watched. I think somebody's out to get me, but it's not actually the case.
A lot of times it doesn't have to do with a drug or anything. It could depend on the area that you live in.
Yes.
You could be paranoid just by being in an environment.
That's right. What drugs affect dopamine? Cocaine, yes. It is a big stimulant of dopamine release. What else? You said it. Meth. Crank. Huge stimulant of dopamine. This is one of the major chemicals that those two drugs stimulate. Now, I will tell you that when we look at people using any substance, and as I begin to understand more what happens when we have a dependence on a chemical, all chemicals that make us feel good, all drugs that make us feel good, do a little bit of dopamine stimulation. That is the reward system that goes on in our brain.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have use for it.
Right. If I wasn't rewarded some feeling of, hey, this is pretty cool, I wouldn't do it again, just like my bark on my tree. I don't get a reward, I don't get a feedback with that. So I don't smoke pine bark. Mm-hmm. Dopamine gets broken down further into either epinephrine, which is adrenaline, okay, or norepinephrine, which for most of us is the opposite. When epinephrine is in play, your heart rate goes up, your breathing becomes shallow and more rapid, your eyes dilate so you can see, your hands and feet get cold because all of the blood is here. Yeah. When we kick in our instinct, that fight or flight, I need to be able to run away or fight what's going on, and guess what? I don't need to feel that my hand just got crushed. It doesn't help me in this situation. So we pull everything in and we become less aware of this stuff out here with adrenaline. When we kick in our norepinephrine normally, that shuts all of that down. So the heart rate goes back to normal and our breathing goes back to normal and our eyes go back to their normal and they begin to respond related to light or dark and that kind of thing. But I'm freezing over there. But with things like cocaine stimulates your norepinephrine. But the other thing that happens with that particular drug is that it constricts, in large doses, constricts your blood flow to your heart, which will raise your blood pressure. And cocaine prevents both dopamine and norepinephrine from being deactivated. So it sits in the space and overstimulates the nerve endings, which is why we look like we look when we're taking cocaine. Why we feel like we feel when we're coming down, because I've overstimulated my little nerve endings. One of the other neurotransmitters that there is called serotonin. More people are hearing about this one because when we start working with people in medicine who are depressed, this is the chemical in the brain that we usually target first in trying to treat them. This one I call you mood stabilizer because when you have this around in appropriate amounts, you feel normal. You feel like yourself. When we stimulate it, we become more sedate. We relax, we mellow out, we chill out, we may get kind of drowsy, depends how much we're stimulating it. Okay? So when we activate this one, we actually calm down. The drugs that activate this one are marijuana, LSD, which is a hallucinogen. Alcohol works on this one. Painkillers don't work here. That one's a different one. We're going to come to that one. So those drugs stimulate this one, but instead of ramping us up, like happens when we take cocaine, this one calms us down. Serotonin. When we stop using things like marijuana, the levels drop because we've been stimulating it with marijuana. And now I don't have as much as I'm used to. When I don't have as much as I'm used to, I look different. Now I actually look more agitated. Now I have anxiety because I don't have what I'm used to, and my body's gotten used to being mellow at this level. It has to readjust to, hey, I don't have all this around anymore. And that takes some time. Can you hit the little back arrow button on that keyboard? Down at the bottom? Back. Third one over. Do it again. Go back. Nope. Back. Back. One more. There you go. Next is GABA. This has a big, long name that's hard to say, so I just abbreviate it like everybody else does. GABA is your body's natural tranquilizer. So this is another one that when we're feeling anxious, when I have a big test coming up, or I'm going to that job interview, or I'm going out on that first date or something that's coming up that I'm usually looking forward to, but I'm a little nervous, your body lets a little bit of this out. Just a little bit, though. Takes the edge off.
Butterflies in your stomach?
Yeah, you'll feel the butterflies, but we kind of calm down and we're able to function. This chemical got released. Calms us down. It doesn't take it all the way away, but it calms us down. When we stimulate this one, again, we look more sedate. We get relaxed. We chill out. We mellow.
Like when you're on Xanax.
Xanax is the drug that really works on this one, yeah. We actually may get kind of sleepy.
Now,
Okay.
what happens when you mix the Xanax with the alcohol and become violent?
Xanax plus alcohol
That's true.
can, because you get that little dopamine stimulation. Alcohol works a little bit different than things like marijuana because it stimulates that dopamine a little bit more. That's why you can drink, and instead of just falling asleep at the bar, we have bar fights.
Yeah.
Because we have a couple of things being stimulated at the same time in different ways. With marijuana, we get a little bit of that positive reward, but then the chemical that actually is impacted takes over, and we tend to mellow out. With the GABA, we will actually get drowsy if we're stimulating this one, and we may fall asleep. All of the anti-anxiety pills that doctors give us make us tired. Sleeping pills all hit this one. Sleeping pills.
So they should investigate better when they give people prescription pills and stuff. Then. They should
Oh,
make
don't
sure
assume
that-
because your doctor gives you a prescription for something that it's safe.
Exactly, that's my point. You should investigate a lot better.
And then the final group are the endorphins, and this is what you were talking about, the painkillers. Your body has these too. When you hurt yourself, you slam your hand in the car door. Doggone, that hurts. Trust me, it don't hurt as much as it would if you hadn't done some of your endorphin release. Okay, we release this when we need to. It does cause a mild euphoria. People that use these drugs recreationally get that it's kind of a floaty feeling. I've had cause to take painkillers for some surgeries, and I don't like the way it makes me feel. I kind of felt floaty. I felt a little off balance. I guess if that's the feeling you like, you'd gravitate toward them. They tend to slow respirations, though. They slow respirations. So this one impacts that brainstem, doesn't it? That's where we breathe from. And if I take too much of this one, I stop breathing. So on your sheet there, I think it says, the heroin addict, is that the one that says? The heroin addict will overdose and have a heart attack. Is that true or false?
False.
False. How will a heroin addict die?
I guess from respiratory.
They'll quit breathing. Yeah. They will quit breathing, and then their heart will stop, and they will cash it out.
The heart attack, ain't it? Your heart stops.
Your heart stops. It dies from lack of oxygen. But it isn't the heart attack from a vascular issue. We didn't have a high blood pressure. We actually quit breathing first, and we don't do well if we're not breathing. Okay? And the painkillers are here. What are some of the painkillers?
Opiates and opioids.
Yes, those are the big classes. Give me some names.
Vicodin, Soma.
Vicodin,
What's that new one
Soma,
everyone likes?
Oxycontin,
All the ones I like.
Roxicet, which is a different company making Percocet that has the oxycodone in it.
They have the Roxy
Oxycodone. Oxycontin is the one that's pure synthetic morphine. Yeah, those are the ones that impact, that stimulate this. With this one, again, we calm down, we go to sleep. If we're having pain, we don't have pain.
Probably why I haven't had much urge for much pills because I got a lot of codeine. I can't take codeine, really. A lot of people are allergic to codeine.
Yeah. And so that concludes our discussion of the chemicals in the brain. Thank you.